Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into a story that's, well, pretty wild. It's about how a brand new nation got built, but not by people. We're talking monsters building cities, and the weakest little guy imaginable becoming a king. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's jump in.
All right, so picture this. Deep in the middle of this super dangerous, monster-infested place, the Great Forest of Jura, something's happening that just shouldn't be possible. A whole new country, the Jura Tempest Federation, has just popped up out of nowhere. And get this, it's not just getting by, it's actually thriving. And you won't believe how advanced this place is. We're talking about a nation of monsters, goblins, direwolves, orcs, living in these pristine, organized cities. Their population? Educated. They can read, they can do math, they're making high-tech stuff like silk, and have already set up trade deals with human and dwarf kingdoms. I mean, this kind of progress, this fast, it's just completely unheard of. So, that leads to the million-dollar question, right? Who on earth is behind all this? Who could have the smarts, the charm, and the sheer power to get all these monster tribes to stop fighting and build a modern city in a forest that wants to kill you? You'd think it has to be some kind of legendary strategist, or maybe a super powerful demon lord, right? Yeah, no. Turns out the founder, the ruler, the one the whole country is named after, is a slime. You know, that little blue blob, the level 1 starter monster in pretty much every game ever. So how? How in the world does a ball of jelly build a nation? That's what we're here to figure out.
Okay, to get that answer, we've got to go back, way back. See, before he was Rimuru Tempest, the all-powerful slime, he was somebody else. Somebody, from our world.
His name was Satoru Mikami. Just your average 37-year-old salaryman in Japan. You know the type. Predictable job, maybe a bit lonely, and then his life just ends. Totally random, tragic stabbing. But here's the crazy part. That wasn't the end. Not really. He wakes up, but he's in this fantasy world, and he doesn't have a body. He's just a slime.
But see, this wasn't your typical slime. He still had his human mind, and he got some seriously unique skills. He basically went from zero to hero in record time. I mean, first thing he does, befriends a legendary storm dragon that was sealed away. Then he becomes the protector of a tiny goblin village, and before you know it, he's uniting all these warring monster tribes. He even gives them names, which in this world is a huge deal. It's a magic that makes them evolve and get way stronger. And that right there is how he laid the groundwork for his own capital city.
So Rimuru is on this absolute whirlwind of a nation-building spree, right? But then everything takes a really sharp, really personal turn. He runs into someone he never, ever expected to meet in a fantasy world. Another person from Japan. Okay, quick sidebar, because this is super important. There are basically two ways you end up in this world. You can be reincarnated, like Rimuru was after he died, or you can be summoned. And that's not a good thing. It means you were literally ripped out of your own world against your will, usually to be turned into a living weapon. It's a really cruel fate. And yeah, the person Rimuru just met, she was one of the summoned.
Her name was Shizue Izawa, and her story is just heartbreaking. She was just a little girl summoned out of Japan during a World War II air raid. To even survive being pulled into this world, she was forcibly fused with a powerful, violent fire spirit named Ifrit. Then the guy who summoned her just abandons her. Eventually, she's rescued by a legendary hero, and she even becomes a hero in her own right. But as she got older, her control over that fire spirit started to slip, so she retired, became a teacher, because she was so scared she'd lose control and hurt someone. Well, she ends up meeting Rimuru, but by then, her time was basically up. She loses control of Ifrit completely. After a really tough fight, Rimuru manages to stop the spirit, but Shizue is dying. And with her last breaths, she makes this final request. She told him how much this world had hurt her, but that she couldn't bring herself to hate it. So she asked him to absorb her, to take her into himself. That way she could finally rest and just dream of her home, Japan, peacefully inside of him. So Rimuru does it. He honors her final wish. And when he absorbs her, something amazing happens. He doesn't just get her ability to look human. It's like he inherited a piece of her soul, her will, her regrets, and one last lingering promise that he now felt he had to see through. And what was that promise? It was all about her students. Shizue's biggest regret was leaving behind 5 little kids she'd been teaching. And these kids were in some very, very serious trouble.
Because just like her, every single one of them had been summoned from other worlds. And here's the horrible curse for kids who get summoned. Their little bodies can't contain all that magical energy. It's like a ticking time bomb. The energy builds up, and if nothing is done, their bodies just collapse. They had less than 5 years to live. It was a literal death sentence.
So, Rimuru is on the clock. He needs a solution, and fast. And then he has this brilliant idea. He thinks back to Shizue. Ifrit was a curse for sure, but that same spirit is what allowed her to live for decades by stabilizing her magic. So what if he could do the same for the kids, but on purpose? The plan? Find powerful, friendly spirits and have them merge with the children. It would give all that chaotic energy a safe place to go. It wasn't easy. It took a long, dangerous journey to this ancient place called the Dwelling of the Spirits. But he pulled it off. He actually succeeded. He found the right spirit for each kid, their energy stabilized, and just like that, their lives were saved. Shizue's final wish? It was done. Promise kept.
And that should have been it, right? A nice, clean ending. Promise fulfilled, kids are safe, happy conclusion. But, well, you know how it is in these kinds of worlds. Every time you think a story's over, it's really just the beginning of a new and usually much more dangerous one. Even Rimuru thought he could breathe a sigh of relief. He figured, okay, mission accomplished, back to building my nation. He thought the coast was clear. Oh man, was he wrong? A whole new catastrophe was brewing, and the craziest part, it was triggered by the very promise he just kept. See, word of Shizue's death eventually gets back to one of her very first students, a woman named Hinata Sakaguchi, who just happens to be the captain of the Holy Knights. The problem is, the version of the story she hears is incomplete. All she knows is that her beloved mentor is dead, and the last person with her was some monster named Rimuru Tempest, a monster who, by the way, can now perfectly mimic her teacher's appearance. You can see where this is going. And that right there sets the stage for an absolute storm. Rimuru did the right thing, he fulfilled a hero's final wish. But to the rest of the world, and specifically to someone who cared for that hero deeply, he looks like a murderer. So, here's the real question. What happens when one of the strongest knights in the world, dead set on getting revenge, comes after our slime hero for a crime he didn't commit? Well, that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it?